treat the janitor with the same respect that you would treat the CEO. Keep everybody, on that same level. And I think you'll get a lot further in life.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode on the Divinely Disruptive podcast. I'm your host, Jane Powers. Today in our studio, we have our first male guest, and I am so excited. He's not only a great family friend, but he is the boss. He knows how to hustle, and he knows how to make shit happen. Marvin, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
For people who haven't met you yet, tell us a quick little bio of who you are and what you're about.
Well, my name is Marvin Furrow, originally from Seattle. That's, you know how that goes. We go way back from Seattle, moved out to Vegas about 2008. I say around 2008. I just knew it was a bigger city, kind of wanted to take over like Vegas, everyone's like Vegas, 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 right? So come to Vegas, and I was just bartending and then became a bar manager. I like what I did. I was an entrepreneur in Seattle. So I owned my own construction company for about 4 years up there, but I hated that work. It wasn't me. I mean, there's plenty of people for it, but not me. I just cold weather, rainy. I was just like, I'm Islander. I need to stay warm, whatever. I just got to do what I do. So came out here and I saw these bartenders out in Vegas, just having so much fun, working in this industry, making great money, and then not bringing the stress home with them, whatever works. And that's what I kind of want to do. I said, I got to get out here. So, and I didn't know anything. I didn't even know how to bartend. So I went to bartending school, whatever, became a bar back really quick. And then, jumped in, I started bartending, then became a bar manager, then a beverage director. And as you know, I won't own a bar today, but like, we'll backtrack a little bit, but like, that's how I got started. So then initially I opened an SMP, and for people who don't know what SMP is, it stands for scalp micropigmentation. This isn't my hairline, but that's something I needed to do. So I'm Filipino and Italian. Okay. And I have like really white skin, and I was losing my hair, and then it was going all the way back. I was looking like George Jefferson. I didn't like it, and I was like, "There's got to be a better way." Can you just tattoo that on? So, in a nutshell, I learned how to do micropigmentation in the UK. It wasn't even in the United States yet, but my entrepreneurial mind was like, "I got to bring that here to the US." And yeah, I think a lot of people will like this because it's instant, permanent. Like it doesn't cost too much money, and it's a quick fix that'll look great. So learned how to do that, opened a shop in Seattle, and and put one here in Vegas, and then put one in San Francisco, and then put one in Albuquerque, and then now here I'm in Scottsdale currently right now. So did that. So always looking to improve and get better. Of course, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Any millionaire will tell you it takes 7 forms of income to be a millionaire. You don't put all your money in just one little thing and just kind of hope, I mean, one thing goes bad, you're screwed, right? So it's good to have all these different avenues and way to go. So whether you're investing, stocks or real estate or, your own business, keep compiling that up and you'll win in the end, right? So, keep that in mind. Those are the 7 things that you need to look for or do. But just do whatever you do, just do it, you got to enjoy it. You got to have passion in it, right? If you're just looking to make money, you'll never win, right? But that's me in a nutshell. I'm 48 right now, but like, I've been around. So, I'm just honored to be here on your show. It's really cool. Glad to be here.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. And that's a very large nutshell you got.
Yeah, it's a pretty big nutshell. Yeah.
But, a little backstory of even how Marvin and I met is ironically through my husband. Mm-hmm. And I just remember, you invited us over back in Seattle. And I remember just having a seat with your girl. And I would tell her, I'm like, okay, don't take this the wrong way, but I like Marvin. And she's like, what? I don't really hear that often from a woman. And I said, no, like his vibe, just something about him is very, very intriguing. And being Korean American, also an overachiever, played professional golf. I mean, my story. And I shared a little bit on the first episode just so people knew a little bit of who I am and how I was raised. But dude, like even before I knew what you were about, even before Nick even told me who you're about, just your energy, your fire, just even your manners, it's just exceptional. So even as
Thank
you
you.
share your experience, I'm not surprised, but you have such humility and humbleness that I admire. And, you know, when we moved to Vegas, I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, Marvin relocated to Vegas. We need to tap into that. So I remember asking my husband, I said, hey, can we talk to Marvin? And, you know, we weren't even like friends yet. I mean, you knew my husband, but I have this eagerness. And I mean, you've seen the way that I move is it's not fake and phony, but when I can see somebody's intention, purpose, and I can feel some sort of alignment, I just got to get after it. So I remember telling Nick, my husband, yo, you gotta text Nick, Marvin. Like, I don't care if it's for work or just catching up on life, but he's the dude that I need to meet. And he's just like, babe, let's pump the brakes. You know, he was my old manager, my old boss, but let's just pump the brake. And I'm like, no, I gotta go. And unfortunately, the moment you gave me your number, I'm like, yo, Marvin, how are you doing? You got some jobs. And then later, my husband found out I was texting you all the time about work. And he's like, babe, what did we talk about? Slow it down.
Yeah.
But, you know, all jokes aside, Marvin, I feel so grateful to have somebody like you in my life. And again, for you to be the first male guest on my podcast, I mean, this is our moment. And it's not just about me and the podcast, but it's about what you've brought to the table and also what you've brought into my life. So, you know, I really honor that about you, because people who may know of you or see you on Instagram and social media, they might see a good looking brother and thinking, oh, he probably came from money and things probably came easy. But let's be real, it did not.
No.
So
when you said, you know, humble, you know, whatever, it's because, you know, I grew up poor. You know, I didn't, you know, my dad was military and didn't know him. You know, he left when I was young. I had a little Filipino mom who doesn't, you know, she couldn't really support, you know, back in the day. So, you know, we had to grind for ourselves. We had to like, you know, I like nice things. You know, I was like, in school, I was like, I really got to be a dishwasher. I need to pay for my clothes. I got to do whatever I need to do, whatever it took. We had to get there, and being humble comes from working every position. If you work from the dishwasher to a cook, you know, to every position or whatever it may be, whatever field that you're in, if you've been through the bottom to the top, you have to put yourself in those people's shoes. And I've been to the bottom to the top. So being on the top as a manager or an owner of a place, I could always look, you know, and put myself in that person's shoes. How could I help them? Because I wish there was somebody who could help me get along faster. I wish there was a me to kind of help me. You know what I mean? Back in the day. So that's why I'm humble, you know, because everybody has to start somewhere. And like, why hide secrets and why hold things back if you could help people get better? Because they're going to only help their families and so forth. It's like a snowball effect. So that's why I'm humble, I guess. You know what I mean?
Now, okay, where did you get your mindset and motivation? Because I know I have my story, but just your relentlessness to just keep going really amazes me, because I know it hasn't always been an easy ride for you. But where did you get all that motivation?
I think it was competitiveness. I was in sports when I was young, and I just hated losing in anything. You know, whether it's tic-tac-toe, whether it's a video game, whether it's actual sports, whatever it is, I wanted to win. And, you know, that's just life. And life is a game of not necessarily winning, but just like trying to do best that you can in whatever position that you're in. Like if I went to a job, I'd always say, who's doing the best? I want to be better than them, right? So nothing against them. I'd be cool with them. Like, yo, what do I got to do to be at your level? Like, what did you do to get here? Because I like what you have. You know, if you're gonna listen to somebody's advice on something, they better have what you want. You know what I mean? It's like, for instance, if you're in a relationship, why would you ask people who keep breaking up or having divorce? I want to ask somebody who's been married for like 60 years, like, what did you guys do right? Was it separate bathrooms? I mean, what is it? You know what I mean? Like, I need these little details that's going to make, get me to that next level. So it's that drive. And I just want to keep growing, keep getting better. Like I'll start a new project, and then when I finish it and I nail it, it's off to the next one. You always got to keep bettering yourself. And I just think that's what it is. It's not even about money anymore. It's like a game of just winning, whatever it is at that point, I think that's what it is.
That's awesome.
It's just competitiveness, and maybe being a Capricorn.
Yeah. No, and that's, again, a lot of similarities, for everyone listening and watching right now. We're also Capricorn, so we share that. And I kid you not, it's almost like we were born in the same womb and somehow we got separated at birth.
Yep.
The more you talk, I'm like, you get me. I'm trying to be like you and you're trying to be like me. This is great.
Yep.
So, as an overachiever, as you elevate in this lifetime as well, how do you seek mentors, and, who are your greatest mentors?
That's a great question, because back to what I was saying, you want to see somebody or know somebody who basically has what you want, like what type of mentorship. And honestly, I only find it through the internet, because there's not too many people that I know, today that who even talk to you or who are humble, who want to tell you everything. So I'll look at guys like Gary Vee, you know what I mean? Like, he's somebody who's successful and who's achieved. I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, Warren Buffett, somebody who's great like that in real estate. I'll pay attention to what they have to say. There's a reason why they are where they're at, right? Like that's what I want. Like let's shoot for that, And even if we fail, so if you look at it like this, right? So let's just say you get Warren Buffett worth 90 million. You get these guys that are worth tons of money, right? Even if you're shooting for that, and let's say you fall a little bit short or short at a couple million, oh darn, like you know what I mean? It's like a good thing, right? So I look at those guys, Warren, just people with good advice, and I try to keep myself motivated, like, and always learning. Like if whatever you do at night, or if you're driving in your car, things is an hour away, I'll pop on a YouTube video of just something, just to learn something or what I'm doing, or just keep your mind sharp, whatever you're doing. You're just not wasting it, just listening. Not saying music is good. You got to unwind sometimes, but sometimes you need to keep learning, right? If you're just sitting around, learn something educational that could help you and get you to where you ever need to go. I mean, that's just like, time is limited. The older you get, that door is shutting quick, right? And if you don't act on it, you're going to lose. Speed is everything. People consume so much time on trying to be perfectionists. And in doing that, you're going to end up losing and missing the whole ball. The people who get things done faster are going to win, because they're going to make little mistakes, but they'll fix it as they go. And it's already in action. Right. But like for those guys who just sit there and try to be perfectionists, you're going to fail. You're going to lose. Just get it going. Start that business. Just go buy the LLC. If it's the wrong one, go do it again. Right. But you're learning by your mistakes. You've heard that cliche, you only learn from your mistakes, and that's so true. You're going to learn from your mistakes. So, and I made plenty of them, and I still am, and I still will, but you know what? I'll learn from them and I'll keep moving. You know what I mean?
No, and you share a lot of wisdom, Marvin. Thank you for sharing. And I kind of gave you a trick question, because if you were to ask me, who are your mentors? Who do you speak to? Like every time you talk, it makes me laugh, because we are very similar in that. Because even Nick, he's like, don't you have friends to talk to or people to go learn from? I'm like, yes, it's called YouTube or books or podcast or audiobooks. Yep. But I also believe, because I have a relationship with God, I always preach about spirituality, not religion. And we tap into this realm where, without being conceited or arrogant, we, especially yourself, Marvin, I look up to you in this way, is you're different. And I know some people might say, Jane, you're sounding really arrogant. It's like, no, I know I'm different. I know I'm created with a very unique gift and a very unique way of approaching people and making things happen. And Marvin, you have that gift. So I think it's also important to have mentors, have people we look up to. However, you kind of said it already, is how can you make it better? Like, how can you make it Marvin style, right? There might be a great recipe. I know you mentioned you're really good, making drinks. I mean, I've had a couple and I was in paradise, okay, mentally and physically. But I think you are tremendous in all that you do. Even the few years that I've known you, Marvin, again, I keep saying you're humble because I've seen what you do. It's one thing to say, oh, Jane, I have these multi-million-dollar companies. I have these teams growing, SMP included, but you do something that I've never seen. As a beautician, I've experienced the makeup world. I've experienced the skincare world. I've experienced permanent makeup, but the way that you marketed what you do, you make it not only catchy, you make it really intriguing, but you actually know what you're doing. And the people you have on your team, you have an eye for people. So if you don't mind sharing, Marvin, for a lot of entrepreneurs and people who are hungry right now to finally start their business, how do you cultivate great team, like a teamwork ethic where everyone wants to get along and follow a certain vision and, go in the right direction as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
How do you cultivate a team and how do you manage a team?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're only one person and we can't do it all. As much as we want to say, we can do it all,
exactly
we can't.
That's a great question. And, you can't do it all. It's impossible, right? You need a team you need to surround yourself. You could try to do it by yourself. It's going to take you forever. And that goes back to that speed. You're going to lose because you're sitting there trying to be a perfectionist to do it all yourself. Because that's a little ego too. You think you know how to do everything better, but you don't. Like, I don't know how to do certain things. Like, I've Tyler, my business partner, for instance, for SMP. He does a lot of things that I can't do, but that's great. We're like a yin and a yang. He could just nail that situation, whatever he needs to do, whether it's marketing, whatever, and let him concentrate on that. I could concentrate more on productivity and where the direction of the company's going. And you have to trust people. And if you hire people, you have to hire and let them do what you brought them in for. If you brought a camera, if you looked at somebody's work, right, and you need a photographer, right, like Nick, he's a phenomenal photographer, right? You look at his work and you liked it when you saw it, like, that's great. Why would you hire him and then sit there and tell him what to do? Like, that's an ego. Like, let him do his thing, like, just let him concentrate on that. That's what he does best. You get a whole team, and you put people in the position, and you don't micromanage them. You let them handle this. I don't sit there and I stare at everybody to see what they could do. You know what the big picture is. You finish, that's your project, get it done in X amount of time, and then the team grows from that point. And the biggest thing is you can't be greedy, because I've been in that situation where all these, with people, employees, I watch bosses do things and owners do things to their employees because it was greed. Like, I knew their bottom line and I knew what they were paying out. And I was like, you're going to get what you pay for. That's literally in every aspect of life. You get what you pay for. You order something cheap, probably going to break, right? If you spend, cheap money on an employee, he's going to give you cheap amount of work. And you have to pay. Don't be greedy. Like, if you pay somebody well, they're actually going to work hard for you. They're not going to mess up, and it's going to be done correctly, and they're not going to leave. They're not going to feel like I could do better if I go over here because I'm barely getting by, and this guy's making all this money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even care. Like, if the company grows as a whole and everybody's winning, then why mess with that? Why be so greedy and mess all that up? And I see that a ton with a lot of these people, right? God will take care of you if you do it right, right? If you take care of people, they'll take care of you, and that's just how it works, in my opinion. And it works. I mean, I've seen it myself, but I mean, everyone has their own ways and how they handle it, but that's kind of how I do it.
No, and I wish there were more bosses, owners, CEOs like you, as you were talking about just how to keep a team going, how to even build a team without saying any names. And again, how hard I work. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever had a boss or owner that ever did any of those things you just mentioned. Not only did they not appreciate my worth, they didn't even see what I was about, and I'm underpaid. And it's really awkward when you have more experience and more education than someone else and they're getting paid double, right? It almost makes you resent the job, resent what you do, and then it gives a bad name to the company that you work for, right? And there's no accident that, again, you and the team and the companies you open, it's no accident there's exponential growth because, again, there's magic. Anything you touch, Marvin, there's magic. I know they always say, whatever you touch turns to gold. No, it's magical what you do. And I cannot wait for you to afford me one day because we're going to dominate on another level. Okay.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Okay. I'm always like, hey, when you can't afford me, Marvin, you already know. Because people are always like, Jane, what do you do? And any job interview, Marvin, I kid you not. And my husband's like, again, slow your roll. I say, I don't like it when you ask me, what do I do? What do you need? And that's what I will offer. And they're just like, we've never interviewed somebody like that. And I said, no, because when you ask me what I do, you're almost limiting what I can do for your company. So for example, every company might need marketing. Every company might need promo girls. Yep. Every marketing will need social media at some point. I can do all of that and then some. I mean, shoot, you need a public speaker to go speak on stage. I'll handle that. So I think it's really important that you already have that common sense and then you tapped into something very, common sense isn't common anymore, but greed. And I know we've heard of that word before, but I do feel like, especially after the pandemic and COVID, people are a little intimidated and they're holding money really tight. But I think as owners and CEOs, I understand the whole, okay, we got a budget, maybe budget cutting, but take care of the ones that are showing up for you.
Amen.
Right. And and again, for you, it is common sense, but I see it everywhere, especially in Vegas. I mean, I've lost several jobs, and it inspired me to start a luxury candle business. It inspired me to start a podcast. So previously you mentioned perfectionists might kill you. Perfectionism might destroy your dreams. And I told Nick, I was like, I'm ready. I might be in one of the most awkward times of my life. I mean, I remember begging you too, just like, dude, I'll do anything. You want me to clean your toilets or like go pick up, trash from your yard? Like I will do anything. But in that moment, and I can't wait to hear a little bit about this for you, but in that moment of like vulnerability and emptiness and, low key, I hit rock bottom this last year. I was like, okay, God, higher power. Like, I know I'm meant to live this life to heal and to inspire people. And again, even that greed, this podcast, it's the opposite of greed. If it was all about me and the Jane Show, I would have just had me in the mic. But I thought, no, through me, I'm going to connect with other brilliant minds. And through me, even people watching and listening right now, this is a moment to unleash something powerful. So even as you're sharing your wisdom, I mean, shoot, you could have been like, Jane, this costs money. I'm very, experienced. I have a lot of nugget that is real and it can help people make a lot of money, but you showed up for me. But you could have said, hey, Jane, I'm sorry, I have like a $5,000 fee, but you just showed up so humbly. So again, I had a meltdown on the first episode and I didn't realize that I was fighting some demons and I was really depressed. And, I don't ever show my emotions. You see me every time you need me, whether I'm going through some shit or not, I always show up. You know that, especially the people that you love, whether it's business, whether it's a guest at your restaurant or business, I always show up for you, Marvin. And that's just the type of person I will always be, is especially those that show love and respect. I will always give that to you 10 times.
Amen.
So for you, even if people may never believe this, have you ever had rock bottom moments, and have you ever fell down where you're like, shit, I don't know if I can get back up?
Yeah, you feel it, I try to forget. Things when you're at rock bottom, right? You have to project yourself forward and almost manifest where you need to be. You know you're at your lowest point, but it's like, I can't get any lower, right? There's only one way to go up. And instead of dwelling on feeling bad or being low, because nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit if you're last or you're the last person. You know what I mean? If you don't do it for you, nobody else will. Nobody wakes up in their day to go, let me help this person over here. Nobody does that. So it's like you have to get off your ass and figure out what you need to do it, because nobody's going to feel sorry for you, right? So I have to get up and I have to keep, there's no excuses. Like, okay, what do I got to do? Step by step. Any little bit of momentum will help you get out of it, right? Because momentum just leads to more momentum, and you'll eventually get out of it, right? And that's kind of all I did. But of course, everyone's going to have them. There's never a straight path, to A to B. In success, it's a windy ass road, right? So you're gonna have your ups and downs, but you'll find your way out of it. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and you'll get up off your ass and you'll do it. You'll make it work.
See, you're lucky you're not my neighbor, Marvin, because you are, again, such a fierce fire, and just the vibes that you carry. Just, you have so much high energy, call it frequency, the spirit, whatever you want to call it. But, exactly what you said, I've never seen you have a bad day. Not to say you don't have bad days, but just like me, I show up no matter what. I could be crying in the car, but the moment I'm here for you or anybody that I need, it's like, boom, let's go. And you have that ability. So I really admire that, not just as a man. And again, having you as our first male guest, it's very special, because as a straight female in the city of Vegas, it's very awkward navigating the way that I do. So for example, as a male, you could be stern, you could be assertive, you could be a little aggressive, you could be confident, almost cocky, and that's okay. But as a woman in the city, sometimes I get a little bit of that side eye or that judgment. I mean, I'm sure you've seen me in rooms with big people. I don't budge. No. You tell me to shake hands? Absolutely. How you doing, sir? You're a trillionaire? Absolutely. Can I sit next to you? And so for you, as you've, I know you're relocated to Arizona, so congrats.
Thank you.
We got to go visit you soon.
Yeah, you do.
But in your experience in Vegas, was it difficult to navigate through, excuse my language, but shitty people and bullshitters? Because my heart. I grew up in the church, and, my parents always raised me, treat everybody like your brothers and sisters. But dang, Marvin, I didn't realize how many fake friends I was surrounded by. And, I've been hosting events, parties, all that jazz. And, I don't want to sound like a narcissist, but I just was kind of confused why nobody checked in with me. I'm the one that's always like, hey, how are you? What's going on? But how did you navigate yourself through the city and like kind of weeding out the fake ones and the bullshitters and the one that actually have your back?
It's one at a time. Basically, you talk to somebody and you'll know. I mean, basically when if you want to do something with somebody, you do it, and then they kind of screw you over. You've been there. And once they do, you just note it. You don't have to say anything bad or do anything, but you just know that's a check. Don't keep knocking at a door that doesn't want to open. That hallway's long. Just keep walking down to the next door until eventually there's going to be the right door. And you're going to meet that cool person who could help you, and, vice versa. You can help them. And then you guys will grow as a team. You'll eventually weed out all the bad ones. You just have to keep sifting through them one at a time. And hopefully people are real for who they are. You have that judge of character. You kind of know right off the bat, but then, time will tell. Time tells all. In the end, you're going to find out if people are real or fake or not, right? And then the real ones are going to be real all the way to the end because they have the same goals and dedication as you do. So, that's your team. Those are the people who are going to win with you. The ones who don't, you don't have time for them. Just push them away. So it's just a thought, just another person in the past. Just move to the next one because there always will be there. There's always going to be a ton of fake people, and no matter where you are for that matter, not just Vegas. There's no magic city of like, oh, I go to this city, everybody's super cool. Wrong. Humans are humans, right? It's just human nature, right? It's in general for people, they have their own agendas. So if somebody has their own agenda, it's how they handle themselves, and that's why they push you off. That's why they're not thinking about you or for whatever it is, and you'll find that really fast. You'll find out really fast who's fake or not, and that's why people say, I only have a few friends that I could count on one hand. You know what I mean? Like true friends I could really lean on if I really have a question or if I really need help. You know who you could call. If you ever went to jail in the middle of the night, and let's just say Nick's not in the picture, right? Like if you went to jail in the middle of the night, you already know there's only about 3 people I know I could truly call to get me out of this situation, right? And that's it. That's sad to say, but your circle is your circle, and it's going to be a great circle, and the older you get, your circle will be stronger, and who the people you can really count on. It's just time. Just kick them to the curb. Next. There's a lot of nexus. You know what I mean? You can still be cool with them, but just like, you don't have to burn every bridge you come across, but not to cross that bridge with certain people. You know what I mean?
Now, I might sound ignorant asking you this because you are a mentor for me without even knowing. Do you have a mentorship program or in the near future, not just for business, but just as people, do you ever plan to have like a mentorship program? Because you're just, again, you have so much experience in so many industries. You know firsthand how to build something into something huge, right? Will you ever have that in the near future?
I don't know. I never really thought about it.
I could see you doing that, like whether I'm
probably
a co-host or partnering, but
after
you
a
should
couple,
do that.
After a couple more businesses, and and then it drains you. Like every business that you open, it'll drain you. Like this one, it really like drained me. You know what I mean? Like getting this next location. You're going to cities, and you got to be brave in some aspects. A lot of people are so comfortable, where they're at. Like you guys did something that was great. You were in an area, and most people just get stuck. And once you're comfortable, that's when it's over. Like the second, like if you're not comfortable, then you're always growing, right? You're always growing if you're not comfortable, because you're not scared to try new things or do new things. Like you guys decided to get out that city you're in and move to a whole completely new city that you really only know a couple people. Let's be real, but it's hard. You don't know where anything is. You don't know any people. You don't know who can help you. Like you don't know anything, and it's like to keep doing that. It's tough. It definitely drains on you. But once you accomplish it and beat it, you feel like you could do anything again, and you're ready for another project, right? So, but it drains you over time. But like again, my goal is my 7 different forms of income, and once I have it, then everything's passive income and life's easy. You know what I mean? Because there's no amount of money that it's not like, okay, if I make $3 million, I'll be successful, because we all know the more money you make, Biggie said it, more problems. But it's true. It's like your lifestyle ramps up, and now you have to like maintain this lifestyle at 3 million, whether it was just, if you're making 50,000 a year, it's like, it will never end. You're never going to hit a certain amount of goal. It's just like, when are you truly free? When are you truly free? Like basically freedom is just doing whatever you want to do when you want to do it. There's no amount of money that's going to make that for you. So you have to know in your head what you really want, because materialistic things ain't going to make you happy. If you weren't happy with a coffee, why would you be happy with a Lamborghini, right? Like eventually you'll get tired of that and you're just going to want the next thing. So it's in a rat race, right?
Yeah, no, and I'm super proud of you too, just like as we're talking and catching up on life too. Just again, you hit so many things that I know people listening and watching need to hear. And it's very refreshing, because as a quote unquote hustler that never sleeps, at some point you have to think about what brings you joy, right? So I love that you brought that up, is especially being Capricorns, it's like, there is a number that's enough or a decent amount to live off. But with our drive and our grit, this, we're going to keep working or doing something till we die. We're not going to just sit here and get fat. Like that's just not how we roll.
Retirement is death.
Yes.
It's the second that people have this notion in their head, like when I retire, that's it. When you retire is when a lot of people they have nothing to live for no more, because it was that job or it was that business that keeps them up every day, that gets them up, that they have something to look forward to do and accomplish, because their whole life we've been programmed to like, put out fires. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. You're putting out fires to get to certain goals, but those fires will never end. The second there are no more fires, you have nothing to do, like you're done. I mean, you know what I mean? So you're right. You're 100% right on that aspect. Like you'll always be doing something until you die, right?
Like I just have this image as we're speaking about retirement, like you're in a wheelchair when you're like 120. So calm down. Okay, I'm not dissing you. I'm like at 120, you'll finally be like, all right, I'll be on a wheelchair. But I can imagine that vision, and I'll probably have a wheelchair by then too, because I got back pains. But I just have this exciting feeling, we were chatting about people who actually will be the real ones, right? They'll support you from the beginning to the end. But I get excited because I tell Nick too, I know we're not in the same city right now, but there's certain people that you just always think about and you wonder about. I mean, people that you love, you don't even have to force it. Right? Like I check in with you here and there, and you don't even have to wonder or ask, right? There's no ulterior motive. It's like, Marvin, what's up? How you been? Or what's the next move?
We just take off where we left off.
Right? And so those people are so special. And so again, just having somebody like you in our lives, it gives us this really cool comfort. Like even if you're not here and you can't open every door for us, just to know we have somebody like you, it's like, okay, God is, ultimately watching over us all, but the importance of having real people in your life, I didn't realize it till Nick and I moved here, right? We left all our family and friends. And again, when I thought about you and, just your significance in our life, I'm thinking, wow, this is really cool. Like, God forbid I would allow myself to ever get there, but I know if I was on the streets, again, I would never let myself get there. But if I was, or I got a little greedy and ended up in jail somehow, okay, not Nick, probably me. That's why I go to church. Okay. Thank you for the healing and the forgiveness. But I know I could call you and you wouldn't judge me, right? You'd be like, sis, come on.
I'll just bail you out and then tell you what happened later. Yeah.
Exactly. So again, just had to have a quick little moment to just say thank you. Just even as you're sharing, I'm taking mental notes right now. Because as I'm, leaving this corporate America life, trust me, Marvin, it's not easy. Like you're talking to me right now when the wound is still fresh, like it's healing, but I'm still not okay. Yeah. Like I'm going to be more okay. So when you talked about that moment where you hit rock bottom or you have a bad day or a bad season, it's like, Jane, no offense, but nobody cares.
They don't.
Right? Like you think people who are empaths and intuitive, well, shouldn't people treat me the way I treat them? You would hope, but just because we're givers doesn't mean people are going to give.
And I think that's what you're holding yourself to. You would, maybe you feel like, what you did. The hard work you put in, like the above and beyond work you put in, and they're not recognizing, or people don't recognize that. They know it, but they'll never let you know because they have egos, right? And for you is like to think that you can't expect them to think like you think, right? And that's the problem. It's like, yeah, like people get mad because like, how would you not do that? Like how would you not see that? But they do. They just don't care. They're just different people, and you got to put yourself. Everyone's raised different. You know what I mean? And we know, like a normal person knows what you should do and not do, right? That's just kind of common sense. I think without the 10 commandments, we'd all figure it out. Like you shouldn't kill somebody, right? Like, you know what I mean? But you need it though. It is a judgment that people see that they have to do. But like in the end, I mean, you just don't hold them to it. They're just different people. They're just not who you thought they were, and you just have to move on. Next, nobody cares. Like nobody gives a shit. At the end of the day, you have to think about yourself. At least you have a good partner who could help you through these things, and you have each other to lean on to get past that, because he's in your circle, right? He's in your inner circle. I'm in your inner circle. So you have a team, and there's a couple people out there. So we'll get there. We just have to keep sifting through these people. And just don't even, who gives a shit what they think? If they don't see it, fuck them. Next. Yeah. Next.
Amen to that. I mean? Yeah, amen to that. No, seriously. And, it makes sense too, Marvin, because you obviously had to learn life in a gritty way. And in the end, it actually worked for you, not against you. And I would always tell my husband, I'm like, I don't know why I feel so entitled sometimes. Like I saw life. It didn't come from money. I wasn't rich, but why do I always feel like the world owes me everything or people owe me something? And then I took some time to reflect, and I don't know if you understand where I'm going with this, but some people, I truly believe this, Marvin, we were just born with this gift. Call us psycho, but like we were meant to be excellent. Like, and same with the other side. Some people are totally okay being average, and I'm not shitting on them, but they're totally okay just having a decent job, no promotion, maybe same salary for the rest of their life, but it's enough to get by.
And they're comfortable.
Yes, but I don't know how to be that.
Because you're a perfectionist.
Like I always got to be more fit, healthier, more,
Are you OCD?
Yes. Like
Hanger's
OCD,
got to be a certain way.
But messy at the same time. It's weird. You would think
but
my house is clean,
but it's an organized mess. You still know where everything is.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be technically like, looking aesthetically pleasing, but if you could have a messy desk but still know where everything is. It's the second somebody cleans, you're like, what'd you do? Yeah. Like you just messed up I knew where everything was and you just messed it up, right? So I get where you're coming from, like from that aspect, but I'm a perfectionist. Like everything, I can't just stop. If I see something on the floor, if it's a little piece, I'll go pick it up, right? And organization is huge. And sometimes I need people to help me be organized. I mean, my wife keeps me organized, she does like the small things that kind of helps me get through the day. Like a small task would drive me nuts because I know in the back of my mind it's there and it will just eat at me till it's done. And if it's done, it's peace of mind. Next project. It's like I just forget about everything. I don't ever look in the past and pat myself on the back. I'm always looking forward. And that's why people look at you like, oh man, you're doing so well. I forgot. Like I was on a podcast last night and Tyler and I were talking. I was like, holy crap, we've been through a lot of crap. And I never really stopped to really think about it. Like, wow, it is good. But nobody cares what you did in the past. You only as good as what you are today. You know what I mean? And what you could be in the future, And that's why I just try to keep looking forward. I don't ever dwell on the past and think about it. You just keep moving forward, keep grinding.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense too, Marvin. Thanks for sharing. Is again, you just have this awesome radiance, and even as a man, like a masculine man, you still have so much just bright, elegant light. I don't know how to explain it, but just the way you carry yourself, you're very stern and assertive, but you have this kindness that people are almost shocked to see. And I think that's why we connect. Is even as a female, I don't want to make it a sexist situation, but people will often test me and they think, oh, you're just a cute girl or a cute face in Vegas. But then when I am standing up for myself, being very authoritative and direct, it's like, oh, I didn't expect that. But the right people, they appreciate it. Right. So I can see even with your businesses, why you're excelling. And I think it's really important to also talk about a little bit of SMP as well, because you are moving in such a unique way. Every time I'm checking social media or just catching up with you, you got new moves, new cities. I know you plan something in Miami in the near future as well. But tell me a little bit about the vision of SMP, not just as a business, but just how it even started and how it unraveled to where it is. Like, I don't even have words to explain it, but you're onto something.
I think when you have entrepreneurial tendencies, you have a vision of where it could be. And, you keep plugging at it every day, and it starts, one small step at a time. I mean, I started, like I said, I learned how to do it, 8-9 years ago, and it wasn't even primarily in the United States yet. It wasn't even, we were using tattoo equipment. And now there's like major companies that just strictly SMP equipment, and shout out to Bishop. But like, companies like that, it's evolved so fast because it really works. And that's one thing. You have to believe in something you do. And I believe it because it worked for me, helped me get my confidence back. And I've seen it on people that I've done. I've done celebrities. We're known for doing a lot of celebrities, high-end celebrities. And, I started out at my house. And I was bartending, and I was like, let me build a little room, right? So I built a little room, and I put a little desk in there, and like a little table, and I was doing people for free. I just wanted to learn how to do it and just practice on people and get right. I had to be good before I started charging. And then I started doing it, and it was really clean work. And then I got lucky. I had a really good girlfriend of mine who called me and said, Apple and Black Eyed Peas want you to do his head because we don't even know anybody who does it. And I was like, all right, so I'll go to LA. You do what you got to do. It's the people, like when you're trying to start a business, like to be demanding, like you're somebody, like on your scale, well, you got to come to me and do it. Like, no, if business, go chase it. You do whatever you can to make that client happy, because it's going to be repeat people. This guy did everything he could to make me feel good. That's what it's customers first. If they don't like what you've done, or if they felt like you slighted them in any which way, they're instantly going to write you off and not care. But if like everything about you're on time, you did everything you needed to do, you did a great job, and you're pleasant, of course they're going to refer you. And then it's a snowball effect. So I drove to LA, like to do this guy's head in his house. You're not even supposed to do that, but I don't care. I was like, I'm going to do this. And I did it 3 separate times, because SMP is a 3-step process. You have to do it at least 3 times. I drove to LA every time just to say I even did this guy's head, right? And then it kind of opened the door for us. And like I said, we're known for the celebrity aspects that we've done. But started doing that. And then I opened a shop here in Vegas, of course, first and foremost. And then I opened one in Seattle. And then I teamed up with a trainee that I did out here in Vegas. Her name was Janelle, and she's amazing as well. She opened up another location for us in San Francisco. She kills that out there right now. And then we train people. And again, it comes back to greediness. And I've watched all these other people's on how they grow their SMP company. And a lot of them is they say their name, like, oh, it's X, I'm so-and-so micropigmentation, right? Well, you kind of cap yourself off, you're not like Paul Mitchell or anything, right? Like, but you cap yourself off as only that one person. So how are you going to be this one person in all these other cities? People are looking only for your name. I don't need fame. Like, I don't need the name. I don't need the status. I called our companies very something simple, just SMP Inc., because that's what it is, right? We just do SMP. And that way, when we grow, we're a company. You look at a company. You're not looking for me. I don't need the fame. Like Tyler, you could have the fame. People could have the names. I don't care. I want our artists to grow, because I want people to go to them and help them. And like right now, we have so many employees that are master artists under our name. They're going to keep growing. Like we have another gal in Atlanta. Her name's Kanisha. She came down and trained. She kills it. Let's put one in your area. Like let's everybody. If we all win together, we're going to grow this company faster than that one name person who would do it by himself, right? It's just easier if you have a team to work with you, and let's everybody win. Like, do you need all that money seriously, or do you want to have that money for sure long term, whether it's a small amount or not? And I even take it back to gambling. If you look at gambling, if you look at sports bets, this is funny. What always attracts people? It's the parlays. It's when people try to put 4 bets into one to win this big amount of money. But if you really, really think about it, let's say a parlay bet. Let's call a 5-team parlay, right? It's when you take 5 teams and you need all 5 teams to win this big amount of money. And what always happens? You always lose one, which kills the whole bet, right? So you went 4 out of 5. What if you just did single bets and didn't win that much, and then you won 4 out of 5? You're still up. And if you did that for a long term, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You'll actually come out ahead and you'll win. You know what I mean? But like, people can't do it. It's human nature to like, I need it all now. I need this big money right off the bat. If you could just have some patience and not be greedy and just go about this methodically, slow, and just win every day, whether it's a small amount, it adds up and you'll end up winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and that's very wise, Marvin, because you're thinking about the end in mind, right? You're thinking about long-term growth.
The macro,
right?
not
But
the micro.
Yeah, man. But I feel like so many people, again, you have such common sense that most people don't have when starting a new business, right? They instantly think profit, 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 right?
Yeah.
Let me squeeze everything that I can from one person. And this is, again, probably why I either got fired or had to leave a job, because it's just, they're driving me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I want to dedicate my life to you and stay with the company, and whatever direction you want to pivot to, I want to be a part of that. But when somebody kind of shortchanges me or tries to lowball me, I'm already turned off by that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So in your growth, because I've never seen any companies in your field grow as fast as you do, what would it be like for somebody to join your team, or maybe listening in right now, they're very intrigued by you right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is, wait a minute, okay, I've heard of this whole micropigmentation thing. I'm balding, like, I'm going to come see you soon because I have receding hairline. But if for someone watching and listening right now, they're interested in learning and maybe interested in working for you,
Mm-hmm.
what does that look like?
Well, you obviously got to learn the product, right?
Mhm.
You got to learn how to do this, and that requires training.
Mhm.
Now, when you come and train with us, you'll come train with us, but we'll do essentially a one-on-one training. I need to know that you're really learning how to do this.
Mhm.
I'm not just trying to take your money. There's a lot of companies that do massive classes,
Mhm.
but it's hard to learn in a massive class, right? If there's 20 people trying to learn from one person and what they're trying to do, because I've been that guy. I've been in those classes, and you're trying to look, see what the hell's happening, or like the instructor will tell you, anybody have any questions? And if nobody raises their hand, you kind of don't want to raise your hand either, because you feel like you're an idiot, like, oh, maybe I don't know what's happening, right? And then we're just cruising along and I'm not getting it, because I know this, because after these people take classes with these certain massive classes, they'll come back to me and then they'll ask for a class with us one-on-one, because they truly are learning, right? If you go to college and you really need to learn how to get something done, what do? You get a tutor, a one-on-one tutor to help you out, so you really know that you're getting it. So we offer one-on-one training. We do a little bit of bigger classes, but for the most part, I want to treat you one-on-one. So we do one-on-one training with you. I know you understand it. You help work on live clients, and once I know you got it and you're good, and if you live 9 times out of 10, you probably don't live in the same city as me, which is fine. Which is good. And let's say you're from Nashville. I don't have anybody in Nashville, but I know you took my course and you're good. Well, let's work together. I know you're good now. I'll teach you the business on how to do it. You could use our material, and let's grow. Let's put an SMP Inc. in Nashville, Tennessee. You're the artist out there. I'll teach you the business aspect of it, and we all win. You get the higher percentage. I get a low percentage, and we all eat well. And let's not be greedy. I'm not going to ask. Like, I literally will take 10 to 20%, and you keep the whole 80, 90%. Like, why do I need, like, you're going to take my name and my brand that I built, sure, all the great reviews and all the pictures and celebrity status that we did, but you can incorporate that, because I've trained you how to do that in our company. If you ever have any issues with a client, FaceTime me, call me right then and there. Ask anybody. Like, I'll still call people this day, like, how we doing? They'll ask me a recommendation. What kind of ink should I use? What kind of needle should I use? We'll tell them, we'll walk them through the process. If they messed up, we could teach them how to do things. It's like, you don't feel like you're learning this on your own. You know what I mean? Because I did it on my own in the beginning, and I didn't know what I was doing half the time. Like, I messed up on my own. I had to get my own head lasered, because I was experimenting on myself to just learn how to do it. But those are the things that you have to go through it, and I don't want people. I want it like a easy as possible for them. We went through the hard stuff. You just get out there and just help people one head at a time, because you're changing lives, And that's the best part about what SMP is, because you constantly change lives. I mean, and I used to joke around. I said this the other night. For instance, I had a client. He had a severe alopecia, and once you like completely, make them get their confidence back and have a full head of hair they're not worried about anymore. The guy was like gleaming with joy. And I have grown men cry when they leave, right? He was, I was like, "You gonna go out to the club or something, have some fun?" And he turned to me and said, "Marvin, you know what? The best part about this is I could stand in a grocery store line, turn around, nobody's staring at me no more." That is deep, like you're literally helping people, and that's gratification, instant gratification. You're really truly touching people and helping them, and that's what it's really all about. You don't have to chase money. If you just enjoy what you're doing, you help people, the money will come. The money will come up. We're not greedy. We'll like Tyler the other day. We had a client who the mom came in. I think she had a 17-year-old son, and they didn't have the money for it. They just didn't have the money to do it. But he was suffering. He was getting bullied. People and Tyler was like, you know what? It's not about. Let's just pick dates. Let's just get you done, right? You know what I mean? And we just did a pro bono just to help him out. But like that comes. It'll all come. You know what I mean? And he told the story, and who cares if we don't make anything from it? But we helped that kid, and that was the best part about it.
No, and that's very special. Being a professional makeup artist as well. The thing that keeps me going is not forgetting the why, because I've been doing makeup for over 15 years. So same shit, different story. For me, I could have just said, well, Marvin, I just like playing with makeup. That's not enough motivation for me to keep it as a career, right? I still do on-call mobile makeup. So when people fly in from different cities to Vegas, I provide that. But like you mentioned, it's that transformation, that look you see in their face when they see themselves like, oh man, we're not God, we're not a doctor, we're not a plastic surgeon, but to be able to physically use our hands and our gifts to bless somebody, to really elevate their life experience. I mean, that's pretty huge. It's a lasting experience, not just a one-hit wonder, but dude, you changed my life.
Yep.
So I love also that you really walk through with students or people who are interested, because I went to esthetician school in Seattle, and it was not that. I spent all this money on doing facials, skincare routines. I kid you not. After the whole, schooling, I forgot 10 months, they take your money. All right, good luck. Go get a job at Massage Envy or whatever.
Kick rocks.
Literally, whatever franchise that will get you. And even that, Marvin, thank God I can fake the funk, but they threw me in there. And just into whatever client appointments that I had. And I'm thinking, you're not building confidence and you're not raising people to own their confidence. So I love that you were saying, hey, I'm available. You have a team. You communicate with them. So again, people watching and listening, if you guys are interested, please, contact SMP Inc. But I want to also kind of touch, I know you said that women are also interested. Like I said, I have receding hairline. So is SMP
a good 40%
for women?
Right? Oh, 100%.
Yeah, what's the percentage?
I'd say right now, I'd say it's about 40% women.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh yeah. I mean, after having babies or whatnot, or just or stressful or anything for life, anything stressful or traumatic in somebody's life causes hair loss, just premature hair loss, and it's usually what I like to call the headband area.
Yes,
it's this whole particular area.
Yeah, mine's beyond the headband, but yeah.
Well, I mean, people back here. I mean, some people are cancer survivors, had to go through chemo, and hair just doesn't go back the same. So, women aren't going to cut their hair for the most part, and we add that density back in just to give them their confidence back, because everything is snake oils. I mean, it's just fake. I mean, like hair transplants. I mean, they don't tell you what you really have to go through for hair transplants. I mean, you can only get 3,500 grafts per hair transplant that costs anywhere from, I don't know, $6,000 to $25,000 for one. But 3,500, your whole head, a full crown, just the crown, not the sides, usually about 100,000 follicles. So you get guys who are completely bald, and they're promised that they're going to look like Fabio when they're done, right? And then they have these little doll's hairs that's all placed on their head, and it costs them so much money. So they're just hanging on for dear life for these little bit of amount of money they put on. And oh, by the way, you have to take a pill for the rest of your life to lower your testosterone. They don't tell you that. Or like you have a scar on you that will never grow hair back. Like it's just like, and I feel bad for these guys, and they go through it and they'll spend more money. It's like, we could cover in one spot, one session. Your head's completely even and full, and you look healthy, you're younger, you're youthful, your face is more framed out. And that's why people look bald, is because once your hairline is unframed and your hairline starts going back, you look different. That's why when the guys wear hats, their face is framed out, because beauty is comprised of how symmetrical we are, right? So the second you take your hat off where her is way back here. It's like, whoa, you're not framed out anymore. It's off, but we bring that frame back and just make you feel even. Your hair's more even, you're more fuller, you just look younger and youthful. And then, unfortunately society looks at us and they're like, oh, you must be unhealthy or sick or something because you're bald or whatever. Like, it's just genetics, you know what I mean? But unfortunately it is what it is. Good luck for the people who don't, but people are getting, as new generations are getting balder or older, women now especially. I don't know what's going on with their food, GMOs maybe, I don't know, but like that could be a cause. Everything's changing. So if we could help somebody with their confidence, cool. For the people who clown and sit there like, oh yeah, these guys, look at his jaw and his hairline, and like, that's something the men need for confidence for themselves. It's not trying to look good. They're not trying to get women or whatever. It's literally for themselves to feel better about themselves. I mean, what's wrong with that? If you don't need it, cool, you look good. But we don't pressure anybody. We only help people who ask for it, right? I mean, guys don't really ask for much, in my opinion. I think they just want their hair and good teeth and they're happy, right? You know what I mean? So but as long as we can help somebody.
No, and I'm glad what you're bringing up too, Marvin, because as women, it's so easy for us to get away with self-help and, personal changes. Like, you get a boob job, you get a butt lift, nobody bats an eye, right? We get eyelash extensions, we go get our brows done, we get our hair colored extensions, especially in Vegas, but nobody even flinches, right? It's just another day
it's
for
part
them.
of society.
So I love that you are really offering, also for women, but you're offering a solution, especially to men, because I grew up with 2 older brothers that I love, and they support me in so many ways, but I know they sacrificed so much growing up. One brother, somehow he got the good genetics. He's like full set of hair still, right? And then my other brother got my grandmother's genetics, and I think I got my grandmother's genetics. We have receding hairlines, so I got to connect him with Bo or the Seattle team. Like, for reals. I would love for him to do a consultation, but I remember he never articulated it, but like, my family members would always make fun of him, like, oh, are you stressed out? Like, come on, that's not funny. Right? So as you were mentioning, whether it's stress, genetics, the food we're eating, especially men, I do believe that everyone should have an opportunity to feel good about themselves.
So they could concentrate on what really makes them happy, or work or whatever, instead of stressing about what somebody's, making fun of them or whatever. If they could just concentrate on one thing, and if we could help them do that, and that makes it all worth it.
Yeah, I love it. Now, I know for sure, since we are so like similar, we could probably talk for 10 hours.
Probably.
But just for the sake of time, I always try to be mindful and respectful. But I feel like you shared so many life lessons, a little bit about your businesses and things like that. Something that I always like to ask every guest as well is, if there's 3 life lessons you would tell your younger self, what would that be?
My younger self. Well, I look at it this way. If where I'm at right now, if I'm happy, then I wouldn't change anything, because I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't go through all those things. So I guess a lesson is, if you fail at something, and if you do something, don't look at it as, you got to look at everything with a silver lining. There's a reason why something happened, right? And you don't know what that is. Like, how many times you did something and you thought it was the worst thing in the world, but it ended up turning to be really good, but you didn't know it at that time. Like, God has something other planned for you. Like, you don't know what that is. Just look at it in a silver lining. Like, my car broke down and I was so ticked off, or whatever it may be, and then who knows? Like, you might get a better deal, you end up getting a better car down the road, and you're happier at that point in time. But something has to happen in order for you to get ahead, right? So, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm like where I'm at. So I did a lot of things that I probably can't say I regret, because I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't go through those experiences. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that kind of sums it up in a nutshell. But things I wouldn't do when I was young, I probably wouldn't spend so much time caring about what other people think. I think that's something huge. The second you don't care about what other people think, you're going to get so much further in life, because a lot of people care too much about what other people think. Whether, like, I got to have better cars, I got whatever. Like, they're living above their means. They're trying to, like, it's a point, fake it till you make it, but like, to it, you got to sacrifice and still live, right? Yeah, I wouldn't try too much. I wouldn't indulge too much in trying to think about what other people think. Definitely do you. And if you don't care what anybody thinks, you're going to get so much further in life. You know what I mean? Keep your credit good. Keep your credit good. You know, credit's everything. It's going to help you a long ways. I when I was younger, I did everything, and my credit was messed up when I was young, and I had to like turn around and fix it and realize what, you know, people are telling. Listen to older people. Listen to older people who are successful too. Like, they're telling you that for a reason. It's, you can't have an ego thinking you know everything. You know, that's words of wisdom right there. Like, I kind of was that way sometimes. I was like, hey, I think I got this. I'll try a different route. You know what I mean? But in the end, it all comes back. You know, like, shit, I should have definitely kept my credit up. You know what I mean? Go get a house when you're young. You know what I mean? You know, like, don't look to other people, but like, you know, try to do something, create a business, you know, fail. It's okay. Like, people are so scared of failure. Like, it's okay to fail. You know what I mean? I've started a couple businesses and it didn't work out right away. I thought I was going to be, like I was going to be an inventor, actually. Like, I invented a piece called the Gojito. I don't think you ever remember that. You might know what it is. You remember the Gojito? A Gojito was like a device that I made. Like, I was bartending, and anything that had a need, I figure I could fix it or change it, whatever it is. Well, I was like, I can muddle something, put plastic on the bottom, advertise it, selling all these people right here. And I literally made molds in China and everything to get this done. I went to like every casino. So you need to put this in your pools because it's plastic. And the problem is with mojitos is what? When you drink them, all the mint and everything gets in your mouth, and it takes forever to drink, which slows the process of buying alcohol. So let's speed this process up. So the mojito was a device that sat on the bottom. I had to get a plastic that was that could sink. You know what I mean? So it sunk to the bottom. It had tiny little holes, perforated holes on it. The straw went in there like the McDonald's top, and then I was able to muddle all the mint on top. But what it was, it would prevent the mint from getting into the straw, which means I could drink it in 2 seconds. You could advertise on it and everything. That was the greatest invention ever, right? Failed. Like no one really picked it up. They were interested in it, but it was hard. But I learned the industry, and I learned how to market it. I learned what worked. I didn't look at it as a failure. I spent all this money and I did what I had to do. I learned that industry and how it worked. And now I could like collaborate and talk with people on that because, you know, granted, I didn't do that, but it still taught me lessons in life about business and how things really, really work instead of just reading things on the internet and like that. Because that, you know, back then there really wasn't no internet, but just learning it, you know, like if I always saw a need, I thought it would work. Also, I remember like there was a toilet, like women always complain about the toilet and they're like, oh, you need to shut it. So I was like, why couldn't okay, you know, the trash cans when you step on it and it lifts? Like, what if there was a step on the toilet? So when guys go to the toilet, they step on it and it just goes up, and when you're done, it just comes back down. Like it would, you know what I mean? So like, I was like, I'm gonna be an inventor and do all that, but it wasn't in my cards. But I'm always thinking ahead and how to do certain things and hopefully open business. But don't be scared to take those shots. You never know. You never know. You know how many times you heard these crazy stories of somebody inventing something nuts or starting a business, but if your product, I'm gonna switch gears, but if your product is good and you know it's like the best, you're gonna win. It doesn't matter what it is. If your product is the best, you will win, and you have to believe that. And I knew our SMP product was the best, and we're winning. You know, I just push it out there every day and grind. Just do something towards that goal every day. Every day. That's another thing. You know, just don't take days off completely. You know, you could take the majority of the day off, but at least, you know, do something towards your goal. That every day, and then it'll eventually accumulate. It's like walking stairs. Eventually get to the top, right? Do that. You know what I mean?
Now you guys get why I had you as the first. I'm like, yes, brother, I received that. No, really, I really respect everything you have to say. And I think especially being a stubborn individual, I respect those that have walked in it. They don't just talk the talk, but they walk the walk. So as you're talking, I'm like, no, Marvin, every word, every lesson, every wisdom you shared, I'm really taking it in. And I know that this is some valuable information that people listening and watching can really take at home. But you hit so many, you know, key points is perfectionism will kill you. Mm-hmm. Take it easy on the greediness. I know we all want to win. I know we all want to get money, but sometimes greed will destroy everything. Mm-hmm. And I also love that you kind of mentioned, you know, like go after it. Whatever vision you might have, be okay to fail. Like your, you know, creations that you created, you had the right intention and it didn't work out, but you didn't take too much time just sitting in it,
or dwell on the failure. You just keep pushing and moving forward and try something else. You know, that just wasn't in my cards. So next, you're gonna have to keep plugging away. Like if you think that you just do one thing and then you're gonna hit a home run, it's not gonna happen. When Steph Curry shoots, he didn't make his threes right away, right? Eventually, it took a lot of practice, a lot of misses before he started making them. And now he's the best. I mean, he put in his hard work, but it takes hard work. Don't look for this magic pill or this quick thing. You have to put in the work. I don't care. You can't name me a millionaire who didn't put in the hard work to get there, unless they were born with it, right? And I wouldn't want to be those guys. People were born with a lot of money. There's no value in anything anymore. So those are the ones who always end up, committing suicide or something, because nothing means anything to them no more. They had it all in the beginning. Like, I'm almost glad I suffered in the beginning, because it made me respect money a lot more and respect my time to get what I needed to get. You know what I mean? So if you're not born with a silver spoon up your butt and you really want to work, go after it, and you'll appreciate everything a lot harder, and you'll work a lot harder to get there. You're not just going to blow your money on dumb crap, because you know what I mean? So I mean, that's where I come from.
No, and I love it, Marvin. Thank you so much for sharing. And just even as we are summarizing this podcast episode, again, this is one of many. You'll be back soon, so don't you worry. But I think something that you indirectly have shared on this podcast too is just be a good person, right? No one's asking you to be a perfect person, but just be a good person. I feel like reputation is huge, and there's no accident. Exactly. So just to have, people like yourself on this podcast, I feel so blessed, grateful, and humbled to attract these people. And so I think, reputation, respect is huge. And I already know people watching and listening, they're probably shocked how I have somebody like you and other great people on the podcast. But for me, I don't like to force anything or fake the funk. I just try to show people who I really am. I like to say who I really am, because in the city of Vegas and beyond, it's easy for us to, maybe create a facade, or oftentimes we change how we show up because we think that you need me to be a certain way.
True.
But for me, I'm like, no, I know I'm a little out there. I know I'm a little assertive. I know that I'm very masculine for a female, but the more we embrace who we really are and who God created us to be, I think that just in that authenticity, magic flows and alignment flows. And so I just feel so honored that you're a part of that alignment. And in this new year, I know most people, they think, oh, what can I do more of? But Marvin, ironically, this year, maybe you can resonate with this, is it's not so much doing more, but doing less of the things that no longer serve me, doing less of the things that don't impact my future, and doing less of the things that are not in alignment, because so often people create these false realities where, oh, I got to do more. No. We're missing the point.
Sure.
I think it's doing more of the right things, being more strategic, quality over quantity, whether it's daily to-do list or even people in our lives. So you have continued to live that life. And I feel like just through your existence on earth, you've been such a light. And even the name of the podcast, Divinely Disruptive, I didn't just create this random phrase, right?
Yeah.
I think it's such a unique name to the podcast, but I really want to invite all walks of life to tune in, right? Whether it's talking about self-love, whether it's talking about body image, whether it's talking about health and wellness, how to build a business. This podcast is for anybody who wants to just level up, elevate, but also understand the importance of just spirituality. And again, I talk about God, but this is not a religious podcast, right? If you want me to take you to church, I can, but that's not what the point of this podcast is, right? Everybody has an opportunity. So thank you also for opening doors for so many people. I can already sense people watching and listening. They're excited. So everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to make sure we link your information, whether it's the website to SMP Inc. and beyond, but truly incredible.
I'm grateful and thankful to be on the show, to be honest with you. I'm honored to be your first male guest, because I know you're going to have hundreds down the road, and I could always revert back to this and I'm like, I was first. But where's the wisdom? And if I could help one person out there, it was already worth it to get their goals. And, I'll end it with, treat the janitor with the same respect that you would treat the CEO. Keep everybody, on that same level. And I think you'll get a lot further in life.
Man, thank you so much.
All
Full
right.
of wisdom, Marvin.
All right.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And until next time, protect your peace and keep shining your light. Thanks, everyone.